3, 2, 1. Hit it.
Live from the oil capital of North Dakota in Tioga, AM 1090 brings you the Morning Lowdown with your host, Dakota Public Relations own, connected, experienced, legislative agent, Dennis Lindahl.
All systems are go, Apollo 8. Thank you.
Game on, Patriots. Game on. Here we're coming to you from Western North Dakota on the Faith, Family, Freedom, and Free Enterprise Network. Welcome to the Rogue Nation. We're off the rails. We are off the rails this morning. I'm telling you what, a little bit later, we're going to talk to the North Dakota auditor. He had called in over to the What's on Your Mind program yesterday. Callers called me up and said, or listeners called me up and said, oh my gosh, you should have that guy on. So that's what we're going to do. Yesterday, we had that story going. Justin Gallion is going to join us a little bit later. Anyways, once again, it's always this flipping technology. Don't forget to go over to BacaBeacon.com. You got to check out our previous shows. And you can download our free KTGO app, and then you can listen on your smartphone when you are away from your radio. Of course, we know you're never not. You never know you're never not away from radio. So I went over to the Pinnacle store, and I saw that cryptic kratom. It's very interesting. Relaxation shot. Hurry up and relax. I'm reading it off it's a bottle herbal supplement. It's pretty interesting. I don't know. I'm testing it on my beautiful, lovely wife. Oh, she said she has my beautiful, lovely wife joining me in studio this morning. I'm using her as the guinea pig to tell me what exactly this stuff does. It's legal. They said it could kill you. My wife is pretty brave. My beautiful, lovely wife in the studio joining us. We're gonna watch her. We're gonna watch her reaction to this kratom. She is smiling ear to ear. She thinks it's hilarious. She doesn't like to come on the radio, so she won't. But I'm going to be watching her, especially her sensitive central nervous system. It says it can cause disorders or seizures. Are you experiencing any seizures? You feeling any seizures? I was expecting to go over there, and it was in the newspaper a couple weeks ago. I was expecting to see some, nefarious thing that you have to snort or smoke or something. And it just comes in like a 5-hour energy drink. It's a 5-hour energy drink bottle. And so the whole hoopla is kind of funny. I'm using a magnifying glass to read the instructions and directions. Oh my God. I can't even hardly read that. Amber, how did you read that? Serving size. Oh, she had to use the extra. There's an extra little magnifying glass inside the magnifying glass. Kratom extract. It says it's an evergreen, and there's some other chemicals in there, but it's like stuff you'd hear about. It's just like stuff you'd hear about. It's like passion flower. You said it smelled like trees, evergreen trees?
It smelled like plants.
It smells like plants. White willow bark powder. Valerian extract. Ooh, California poppy extract. That's probably what kills the pain. There's California poppy extract in there. She's a little nervous now. Well,
That's probably why I'm feeling so good right
oh, she says she's probably feeling good right now. We'll keep 911 on the speed dial. But anyways, we're here. We are here to report for you. Let me tell you what. Oh my gosh, I don't even want. It's free. It is Freaky Friday. I'm not going to tell you where, but we have been on the Bakken diet for years. If you don't know what the Bakken diet is, that's when you run and gun and you're so busy that you can't get anything to eat until 10:30 at night, and it's just whatever's at the gas station. Whatever's at the gas station at 10:30 at night, that's the Bakken diet. We've been on that for years. Oh, she's making a face. And listen, our friends over at Pinnacle do a good job. But we didn't eat at Pinnacle the other day. We ate someplace else the other day on the Bakken diet. And oh my gosh, were we sick. Oh, we've been sick for 2 days. Yesterday, if you heard my show yesterday, I was not feeling 100%. Thank you so much for your comments. It says that it sounded okay, but I was not feeling good yesterday. But I just pushed through the pain. I push through the pain. If you missed the show, go over to bakabacon.com. You can hear all of our previous shows. You can download that free KTGO app. Thank you for emails, your text, your Facebook, your Twitter posts. Thank you for joining us. Today's weather, I'm looking out I can't look up my technology because my technology is all locked up, of course. It's always this promise. Oh, did you see Elon Musk? Did you see Elon Musk? Elon Musk yesterday tweeted. Now, Elon Musk has been in trouble with his Twitter machine. The SEC wants an attorney to review all his tweets because his tweets are so, quote unquote, influential that he can change this price of the stocks just by tweeting. He can influence the stock just by tweeting. And so the SEC wants all his tweets reviewed. Putting this magnifying glass away. They want all his tweets reviewed before he tweets them. And yesterday he tweeted, this couple that were using Tesla Autopilot, they used Autopilot to film a pornographic film while they were driving on Autopilot. So here's this car cruising down the road, probably 60, 75 miles an hour, whatever. And they put it on Autopilot and then they filmed themselves having, whatever. And Elon Musk, like an idiot, like the occult whatever person he is, tweeted about it. Says he guesses that there's other uses for the Tesla Autopilot. If you guys have not figured out, listen, if you've been listening to my program, you should know that I think that Tesla is off of his rocker. Excuse me, Elon Musk. I think Elon Musk is off his rocker. I think he's a nut. I think he's on drugs. He and Azalea Banks and his occult girlfriend Grimes, the music performer, I'm not even going to call her a star. He used the Tesla jet to fly all over the world. He used your retirement money. If you're invested in Tesla, SpaceX, the Boring Company, he used your investment money to sponsor Grimes's concert tour. She's absolutely atrocious. She's tattooed head to toe with these occult tattoos. That's where your money goes. That's why I don't like Elon Musk. Now, yesterday, the news that I didn't get to was that Volkswagen is planning a Tesla killer. They are planning a electric car of their own. Now, you throw that into the mix, that certainly changes something. You know what would be interesting is you want to get the environmentalists on board. You know what you do is you make that, what is that? Subaru Outback. Oh my gosh. When we go to Columbus or when we've been out to Seattle, Subaru Outbacks, those liberals, they love their Subaru Outbacks. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. You make an electric Subaru Outback, put some little, some solar panels on top so that you can charge your solar car while you're out there hiking in the mountains. Oh my gosh, those liberals would go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over that. That's what you do. I'm not even a car manufacturer. I can tell you that that's what they do. You make the little Prius. Oh, good grief. Good grief. You see, and it's still this technology. Still this stinking crappy technology. Okay, now it's letting me into some things. Good grief. Oil falls as U.S.-China trade fears outweigh falling crude stockpiles. Oh, of course, they say Donald Trump tweeted yesterday and that he tanked the economy by, I think it was like $15 billion. $15 billion or something just by one tweet. Oh, for Pete's sake. It is Freaky Friday, of course. We're going to try. We do have some normal conversation at 8:30. Josh Gallion is going to join us, North Dakota auditor. He has been digging, and it sounds like some lawmakers don't like the accountability. He's found some irregularities in some of the departments. They don't investigate everything. They just investigate when someone gives them a call and tells them that they should look into something. I got lots of stuff that they should look into. I seriously do. I very seriously do. Oh my gosh, my technology is freeing up now. Now I can see my Comey tweets. Oh boy. For Pete's sake. Crude oil, $61.77 a barrel. It is up 7 cents from the opening. Oh my gosh. If it's not one thing, it's always another. It's always another. I mean, you get these high-tech piece of equipment, and then they can't handle what you need them to do, and then listen to that. Listen to that. And see, and then they play when you don't want them to play. Listen, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I can tell you what. I can tell you technology does not deliver as promised. I feel, sometimes when I feel about technology, I feel like it's the promise of the Garden of Eden. It's like, come, I will give you the entire world. You can have the entire world if you subscribe to this technology. And then it doesn't work. If you've ever lost a cell phone call, if a cell phone call has ever dropped outside of Stanley, heading on the way to Minot, right when you can look right up in the sky, you can look right up and see the tower sitting right there, and you hit that bump in the road and you drop your call every single time. Every single time. I don't even start calls. I don't initiate calls. I don't have calls going when I'm driving on the road if I'm near that stinking tower. You could see the tower and you can't even connect. Every single time. I don't know if it's been so long since I tried to make a call at that spot in the road. I don't even know. I don't even know if it works, but that's the promise of technology. They want to, it's going to open the world and blah, 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 the World Wide Web. It's not, number one, the World Wide Web is not worldwide because most people in America don't speak a second language, believe it or not. So even if you could read something in Spanish or Chinese, most of the internet's in China. Most of the internet connections are in China. So you ain't got access to that. I don't have access to that. So it's not really worldwide now, is it? And it's about an inch deep. It stretches around the globe, but it's about an inch deep. You got 62 million volumes in the Library of Congress, none of it on the internet. Did you know that? Did you know that? Did you know that? 62 million volumes of documents, books, films, all of that in the Library of Congress, none of it on the internet. So how smart are you going to get? Proliferation of information. Give me a break. I can't even get this machine to give me WTI, for Pete's sake. Oh my gosh. I know I'm a complainer. We're going to get this rectified today. Today it's going to happen. So the conversation now, what did I tell you? It's so weird. Yesterday I said that you haven't heard anything from Anderson Cooper. Yesterday I said Anderson Cooper is up in New York hiding under his desk. Oh, lo and behold, he talks to James Comey yesterday. How crazy is that? It's almost like I've got a sixth sense. Some of my friends call it a sixth sense. The sixth sense, I said Anderson Cooper's been hiding under his desk in New York. Then yesterday he comes out talking to Comey. Why is he talking to Comey? Because Comey's scared. Comey is scared. Comey is probably going to face some charges here. I know that might hurt some of you guys' feelings. Comey's going to face some charges. We've been going over all week. We've been talking about Mueller is a white hat. He's a black hat. Mueller is a no hat. He is a stinking attorney, and he goes to the highest bidder, whoever pays him the most money or where he can get the most prestige. That's the case he's going to take. That's what he's going to defend. That's what he's going to promote. He is an attorney. Point blank, period. He's probably been captive by the Trump administration, doing the bidding of the Trump administration, we now find out, because Mueller was invited to the White House to discuss being the director of the FBI at a time in his career when he is no longer eligible. You can only serve as a director of FBI for 10 years. He was invited to the White House to discuss this very thing when he was not eligible. So what did they talk about for 45 minutes? Or was it 47 minutes? It may have been 47 minutes. What did they talk about? 15 minutes telling him what they're going to do, 30 minutes letting him sit in the office by himself, considering that he could be going to jail if he doesn't do what they say because they got him on Uranium One. They got Rosenstein on Uranium One. They got Huber with 470 investigators out in Utah looking into the Clinton Foundation. I know many of you guys haven't heard this before. And we're going to get to the bottom of all of it, but it all starts with them right now, today, sandbagging for James Comey. So that's what you can do. You can take a look. What's the news cycle going to be over the weekend? What's the news cycle going to be when we hit Monday? Next week, we're probably going to be talking about James Comey. Honorable William Barr is found in contempt. So they're going to have to release the declassified Mueller report. They want to see who's on page D5. Page D5 lists the indictments. That's what Democrats want to know. They want to know who's indicted. But let's not worry about any of this. Let's take a quick break. It's AM 1090 KTGO. It's the Morning Lowdown. We'll be back right after this on Freaky Friday.
Shakers and producers, me and my friends understand the future. I see the strings that control the system. I can do anything with no resistance, cause I can lead a nation with a microphone. With a microphone. With a microphone.
I remember when I lost my mind.
Welcome back to AM 1090 KTGO. You're listening to the Morning Lowdown with Dennis Lindahl. To listen to previous programs, check out podcast.flagfamily.com. That's podcast.flagfamily.com. Now back to the show. Here's your host, Dennis Lindahl.
Thank you. So at 8:30, we're going to have Josh Gallion, North Dakota auditor, on the program. I'm looking very forward to it because there have been some irregularities. You know, we complain about government here on the program from time to time, especially this deep state. Of course, you know, in case you did not know, there is a deep state. Oh, I'm going to get so in trouble for this. There is a deep state in your community. It's not just deep state at the federal level. There's a deep state in nearly all political subdivisions. There's that one, there's that one council person. Usually the one who's crying about integrity the loudest. Whose cousin's got the bobcat. His cousin owns a bobcat, so he tries to steer all the bobcat business to his cousin. You know what I'm talking about. You might not know who I'm talking about. That's just an example. There's not an actual person that actually owns a bobcat, whose cousin owns a bobcat. But it's an example. Nepotism, cronyism. And all of these political subdivisions have it. There's always at least one, lingering around, looking for a benefit. They might not necessarily look for a benefit themselves, but they do look for benefits sometimes. Now, that takes us to this legislator in Fargo. I'm not going to say his name. I might say his name later. But like this legislator in Fargo, who is on the rails, who is railing against economic development programs, public-private partnerships, Renaissance zones, TIF districts. And now yesterday, thanks to the auditor's office, we find out that same person used public funds to pay his wife's firm, I think it was $35,900, to do some kind of survey. Certainly a conflict of interest, but this is the person that doesn't like economic development incentives for communities. This is an elected official that signs up for the United States military, goes in as, just like everybody else does, like a buck private, whatever, gets their GI Bill, uses their GI Bill to get an advanced degree, then takes that advanced degree back to the military so that they can become an officer, so that then they can then fly aircraft paid for by the government, to personally enrich themselves, but doesn't like economic development incentives to enrich the community. That takes public funds and pays it to his wife's firm, $35,900, to do some study where his wife's firm. So the government is basically set up for you. Is that what you're saying? Now the auditor has gone and uncovered that. It's going to be a very interesting conversation when we talk to Joshua Gallion here in a few minutes. But let me ask you a question. Does that seem right to you? The people of North Dakota, the voters of North Dakota, most of the economic development incentives were initiated by a ballot, a petition circulating, which then made it to ballot, which then was put on the ballot because North Dakotans were concerned about out-migration. Most of these are voter-initiated I got to take some of that kratom. Voter-initiated measures. But this elected official can't get on the page because he sees other people getting a benefit. This goes straight to what I talked about people who view the glass as half full. It is time for a quick break. When we come back, we're going to speak with the North Dakota Auditor, Josh Gallion, when we return.
You're locked in to AM 1090 KTGO. Tune in each weekday morning at 8 a.m. for the Morning Lowdown and find out what's happening in Western North Dakota's backyard. Now, back to your host, Dennis Lindahl.
Thank you. Special thanks to the North Dakota Petroleum Council for this awesome phone charger that they gave me at the last Petroleum Council annual meeting. It is absolutely fantastic. So my phone died. And they gave these things out. It's got like every connection for a phone already included on it. So that's how I'm able to stay connected today. But I do have a special treat for us today. Josh Gallion, who is the North Dakota State Auditor, is joining us on the line. Thanks so much for getting in contact with us. We appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, Dennis. I appreciate the offer to come on the show.
Yes. Yesterday, I was told by a listener that you were on the program that follows us, which is What's on Your Mind, and that you had called in. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, well, somebody, finally an elected official that's responsive. Let's call him and see what's going on down there. I complain about government a lot. And so when I heard that you called in, I was like, oh my gosh, there might be somebody that actually cares about their constituents. So thank you so much. And you were very responsive too, and that was surprising. So what is exactly happening down there? We had a little bit of controversy on the program yesterday, reading the articles about what's going on in the auditor's office. It seems like there may be some elected officials in the legislature that might not be so excited about having some oversight. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, there's a lot you just kind of covered, and there's a lot of information floating out there right now, and I think there's a lot of misinformation floating around to try to kind of muddy the conversation a little bit. Really, what happened in the legislature at the kind of waning hours was in the conference committee, the final conference committee, which happened on a Tuesday night at 7 p.m. for the auditor's budget. A couple of lines of policy change was inserted. And so what they did, and the one that's getting the most attention, is the requirement for approval by the Legislative Audit and Fiscal Review Committee to approve performance audits. And so that's kind of been the biggest issue. There's a couple other things in there that raised some concerns regarding not being able to contract for work required by the federal government in audits. That does also add some complications to the office. Right now, we've submitted a formal request for Attorney General opinion. We're just trying to make sure that we understand what this new section of law means. That's the focus that I have, is making sure that, again, the auditor's office, we follow the law to a T. We need to know how this impacts us, because the one piece I think that has been missed is the 2-year agency audits. We're required to audit state government agencies every 2 years. Mm-hmm. Those audits we call operational audits. Well, The misunderstanding is we actually follow performance auditing standards for those operational audits. Technically, they are performance audits. The majority of the audits that we conduct are performance audits. So there's been a lot of talk about these financial audits that we should be doing that. We've been doing it forever. We actually do very few specific financial statement audits. It's things like the North Dakota Lottery, the state mill and elevator get financial statement audits. But the rest of them, they're performance audits. So the language that they inserted that requires approval, we need the Attorney General's office to give us the clarification. And until we get that, it's hard to try to figure out what the next steps are.
So as you move through the performance audits, yesterday in the news, it was that your office has conducted twice as many. I thought that's what it said, twice as many. And you can audit me on this, but twice as many as your predecessor has in the last few years. So we know we listen, nobody, the voters know that they want accountability on this stuff. So what motivates you or causes you to have picked up the pace?
Well, I think it's a different angle that we are going after these. My predecessor and the staff that was there, they would do these large performance audits. They'd cast a wide net over an entire agency, and it would take a lot of time. And they would filter through all the information, and you're talking some of these audits took over a year. My focus, because I understand, I've worked as a chief financial officer in a government agency. I know the time commitment it takes to work with the audit team to make sure that you satisfy all the information requests. So my focus is to be much more surgical. We identify the objective. We go in with a very focused scope. We get in, we do the work that we need to, and we get out to have the least disruption to the agency. And then we work very diligently, not just on performance audits, but all of our audits, to write these in a manner that the public can understand. And we have really beefed up our communication. We put more information on our website. We're leveraging social media. We are trying to do press releases. We've added one-page summaries to try to simplify the communication process for those audit reports, and we are trying to get that out into the people's hands, because that's who we work for. We work for the citizens of North Dakota. Our focus is to get that information out there.
So when you have some legislators that might not like the springing of information on the public, they would maybe like to have their department that they have oversight, they'd like to be notified and things like that. Should there be concern that some politicians, it seems like, don't want the oversight?
To put that information out there?
Yeah, say you do an audit. Did you get? I think it is too.
The public deserves, and this is your information. You pay for it. And again, we follow auditing standards. We follow the law. We follow standards to a T. Auditing standards talks about notifying the governance structure. We do notify the legislature. We notify LAFRC. Now, they meet quarterly. Mm-hmm. So we may have audit reports that come out. There may be a 2, 3, 4 month delay by the time they meet. Well, they can call a meeting anytime they like. So if they want information more regularly, well, then they should probably have more regular meetings. We'll present as needed. We can email them. We send out all of our information. Again, our goal is to put that information in the public's hands. Now, if some people don't like that, I'm sorry, but I work for the people of North Dakota, and that is my focus.
Yes, you do. You do work for the people. So the next question I have is when you're doing an audit, is it like an investigation where, you don't announce, you don't say, oh, well, we're taking a look at this department because we got a complaint? Or do the legislators, are they notified? You say, hey, we're going to be taking a look at this particular department in this particular area. I mean, is it like an investigation? Like the auditor's office is not necessarily looking for crime. You're just looking for accountability. Is that correct?
Somewhat. So the way the process works is well, when we enter into an audit engagement, so we start an audit, we do not disclose what we're looking at. We don't notify anybody outside of this office. In fact, state law under 5410 for the auditor's office, those are confidential records. They are not subject to public disclosure. So we do not, in normal circumstances, there are some circumstances where we need to bring in other people and we need to have conversations because of certain expertise or concerns or legal. So we do have avenues to reach out, but our audit work is private. We don't telegraph where we're going. We don't tell legislators. So this whole communication piece where they want to know what's going on, we're not going to sit here and bring them in and tell everybody where we're going to look.
Well, if you notified them,
that would be against our current law.
If you notified them, as the news report said that they would like, then wouldn't that give the departments the opportunity to, sandbag or to correct records or, the crime, the sin isn't usually in the act. It's usually in the cover up. So if you were to notify, as these legislators stated that they wanted in yesterday's news report, then that would give opportunity for, maybe people to not do some less than honorable things. I'm the type of person, I like to put people in the position to lie. So I don't have the personality where I would want somebody to try to cover their tracks. I mean, but that would give them opportunity if the legislators had their way.
Yes, and quite frankly, we do see some of that. One of the responsibilities here in the auditor's office is if a government agency has some kind of a fraud or embezzlement, theft, they can submit a state bonding fund claim. And that goes to the insurance department. What happens from there is then the auditor's office is then tasked to conduct that fraud audit. We have to go out and verify and try to substantiate those dollar amounts. We do run into times where, we can see some questionable financial transactions, but we can't find any of the documentation. We can't find any of the support to say what it actually was and where it went, and we can't substantiate that. So if we have to telegraph what we're doing, where things are going, the potential exists for bad actors to do bad things and to prevent the oversight and accountability. That is why we do not have those discussions with our audit objectives and the scopes. We don't telegraph where we're going and what we're doing.
Right. That makes absolute sense. I know what some of my listeners are wanting to know. They want to know, what are some of the things that you have found that might surprise them? Things have already been in the public view. What are some things that you guys have stumbled across at the auditor's office?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. The audit staff here, I'm surprised each and every day about the work that they're doing, the amazing things that they uncover, and that kind of caught me off guard because there's so many. I think we have one local government audit we did where we found that the city was blending together all of their bonds and local assessments, and they were about $600,000 or $700,000 under assessing. So we uncovered that, reported it, and I think that city, had they continued going down that path, they would have had severe financial issues. We were able to step in, identify it, show them the proper way to do it, and I think they're going to correct it and go forward. So some other things. I think one of the biggest concerns that we've uncovered recently, and they told me it was a first for the auditor's office, was the Wahpeton, the College of Science, where we made a request for information. They told us nothing existed. We went around and we requested information from the IT of the Board of Hire, the University System Office, and we got hundreds of emails. That's the first for us that we've ever identified that somebody didn't give us the information that we were after. But there is so many things in our audit reports. I would encourage people to go out and take a look at the website. You can look at those one-page summaries. We have local government audits out there, state agency audits. You can sign up for our news releases and information that we email out. again, our focus is putting that information out there in the public's hands.
Well, I mean, really, when you talk about accountability, I always say if you want to know somebody, ask to see their checkbook. So when you want to know your elected officials, take a look at how they are spending the money. Because, I mean, sometimes there can be, I don't believe, and maybe you don't want to share with me, but I kind of take the perspective that I don't believe that people are necessarily inherently evil. I think sometimes mistakes are made, and then because people they don't know, they just have a lack of knowledge, and so they make mistakes. Now then, of course, embarrassment kicks in, and you're embarrassed because you ran the department incorrectly, or there's some financial discrepancies, and so people then try to cover up because they're embarrassed, not because they're evil. Maybe you have a perspective on that.
Well, I mean, we're all humans. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. That's not our goal, is to go out there and look at everything like a nail and we're the hammer. That is not the auditor's office. Our goal is to make sure that we issue audit reports, recommendations to improve government. Our focus is making sure that we are utilizing the taxpayers' resources in the best and highest use, optimizing all of those, making good financial decisions, because it's somebody else's money that we're spending. And so that's the goal of the auditor's office. Things happen. A lot of times if somebody comes in and says, you know what, we made a mistake, and you know what, we're going to fix it, everything kind of blows over. You're right, it's the cover-up. It's when people try to fight against it or make it makes it way worse than it really is.
Right, rather than just coming up and saying, hey, I didn't know what I was doing, And you know what? I think people, in my perspective, just being on the radio and being in government as I have in the past, people respect it. When elected officials or appointed officials, when they step forward and they say, okay, look, I didn't know what I was doing, I think people actually respect them more, because you kind of look at elected officials as being, impervious and they're supposed to be perfect, when actually they are just human. You say, hey, we didn't have the correct oversight on this department. We had somebody in there that maybe didn't know what they were doing, but now we're getting the training, or now we have the right person in there. Do you think that maybe problems have been magnified with the influx of prosperity that's come into the state? The more money, more problems. Do you have that perspective as well?
Well, I think anytime you've got additional revenues and the growth that we've had, it is hard to stay caught up on everything that's going on. I mean, it wasn't that long ago we had a $7 or $8 billion budget. Now we're up to almost 14.8 billion, I think, is the budget. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money. That's mm-hmm. a lot of FTEs. That's a lot of process, a lot of government services. And so, yeah, I think it's just kind of once you have that steep incline, there's a lot of catch up that goes on, and I think sometimes in that catch up, things can happen.
Right, absolutely.
No, I don't think people are inherently doing things wrong. I work in the building. I don't think there's evil people here. I think most people that work for the government, they want to show up, they want to do the right thing, they want to serve the public. For me, and in this office, my focus is making sure that in the auditor's office, we come up with the right answer, not my answer. I encourage everybody in this office to challenge ideas. We want to be respectful, but my focus is making sure that, again, we hold one another accountable. We produce the best product, not any single one person's product, but the entire team. So that's the environment and the culture that I'm focusing on, is that collaboration and respect, to make sure that the audits that we put out there are the best product possible.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, you sound like the right person for the job. I think voters appreciate your zeal. And, we continue to watch the news, and we would love it if you would, if we could be friendly with each other and continue to call you and to continue having you as a guest. We would really appreciate it, because people in Western North Dakota that are making all this money, they want to know where it's going. And so I know that they appreciate the job that you're doing. That's why I got a phone call yesterday. It said, you got to get this guy on the radio. So thank you so much for joining us. If people want to find out more, where do they go?
So you can go to our website, it would be the nd.gov/auditor. And on there, we have Contact Us. I believe you can sign up for our media. You can sign up for our press releases. We'll get you added to our list, and you can start seeing all of this stuff that we are putting out there, all of the audits. We have so much information, and we just want to share it.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Mr. Gallion, thank you so much for joining us. That's the state auditor. We greatly appreciate it. We'll look forward to talking to you in the future.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, come on, right? If you're going to start accountability, you got to start with the checkbook. We'll be back right after this quick message.
You're listening to AM 1090 KTGO. The Morning Lowdown with Dennis Lindahl now continues.
We're putting it on blast, Josh Gallion. You know, now that we have contact with the state auditor's office, it's going to get interesting. I did not realize that the auditor's office is also involved in performance reviews. I didn't know that. I did not know that. And now that I do know that, we have now become so dangerous. As my eyes are shifting left to right, left to right, left to right. Performance reviews. Money only makes you more of what you already are. And with all of this cash that has been flowing into North Dakota, not just Western North Dakota, but because of Western North Dakota, because of crude oil development, I would imagine that there's probably some mistakes. There's no doubt that, there's a difference between balancing your own checkbook at home and then going over to a municipality political subdivision and trying to balance that checkbook. A huge difference. But we are so happy that people like Auditor Josh Gallion are on the case, that they're investigating and doing these audits and taking a look, keeping our elected officials accountable to the voters and the taxpayers. But you know what? Don't worry about any of this. Let me worry about it. It's what I do every day. I hope that you're doing what you love to do. If we both do that together, we'll conquer the world. Have a great, great weekend, and do not forget to shine. Let them know who you are, folks. We'll see you on Monday.